There are many different ways that market manipulation can happen. So in this video, I'm going to be going over a couple of the different ways that market manipulation has been happening over the past 100 years, ever since markets were really in existence. So first, let's talk about Wolf of Wall Street, right? So that's a boiler room, basically a boiler room tactic where they cold call a whole bunch of people, they talk up a stock, and they get a bunch of random strangers to just buy the stock. Now, what they are doing is pumping up the stock because they already bought a whole bunch of shares of the stock. I would say the most common way that markets are manipulated is through pump and dump strategies, whether it's phone calls, direct mail, Reddit, or any other way, even just mainstream media. There are pump and dump schemes going on around the world. This is not new. It is just now being noticed by a lot of people in the public. Hedge funds pretty much do pump and dumps on their own because they have so much capital that they can just buy up a stock and make it look like the stock is ticking up every single day. They can basically paint the tape and make the chart look a certain way so that other dumb retail investors will jump in, start buying up the stock because of its technical analysis. Then the hedge funds can go ahead and unload a lot of their shares into these retail traders. Another way that pump and dumps happen is just through influencers. So let's say that Johnny has a following of 1 million people on his email list or on his social media, or even just through direct mail. He's got all their addresses and he can just mail them. Now, if they trust him enough to take his advice, when he tells them and he gives out a trade signal that they need to go buy XYZ stock because he thinks it's going to go to the moon, then they listen to him. He sends out that alert. They all go buy it. He probably already had a position in the stock, and then he is probably selling into all of his different people. And then he can also tell them, hey, look, guys, I alerted you to that stock. It went up. So that gives him credibility for the next alert that he wants to go and tell everybody to go buy that stock. So whether it's an influencer with a lot of followers, or it's a boiler room and they're calling a bunch of strangers cold calling, or it's a direct mailer that's just sending out a whole bunch of direct mail telling people to buy, and that was the old school days. Nowadays, it's just the internet, and you can communicate with people a lot easier through Reddit, through Discord, through the many different social media channels that we use, and you can basically pump up a stock. You just got to get enough people on board to actually buy into that idea that this stock is going to be going up. So again, these are just different pump and dump strategies, but let's talk about different market manipulation. Now, this is my pure opinion on this type of market manipulation, but let's talk about quantitative easing. Now, this is where the Fed or the government, government and Fed, I know that they're different, but they're kind of the same. But anyway, the Fed is then buying bonds and securities to artificially, put money into the economy, but also to kind of push up the market. And we saw that happen with this last 2020, right? The Fed supported the market and they did whatever was necessary to support the markets. Now, wouldn't you kind of call this market manipulation if they are influencing the actual prices of the overall market and different stocks? Wouldn't you say that by them lowering interest rates to all-time lows, basically near zero, would be a form of market manipulation? They're encouraging the interest rates to be so low to then give people more incentive to buy stocks and give corporate companies the ability to borrow more money. And then, unfortunately, a lot of those corporate companies are then doing stock buybacks, which is why the government prevented the airlines from actually being able to buy back their own stock. But I won't get into that too much, but I'm just saying that market manipulation happens everywhere, whether it's the Fed doing it, whether it's big time politicians, whether it's big time influencers, whether it's just people in forums and message boards on Reddit. Market manipulation is a regular thing, and you can profit from it. If you know that it is happening, then you have that little bit of insight to know, okay, this could potentially be all fake. I need to be very careful, but I can potentially make some money from this market manipulation. Another form of manipulation is when a person of power, like Nancy Pelosi, knows that something is coming down the pipeline, somewhat of an insider trading, and she knows that a big policy or a new rule is going to come into effect, and she goes and buys certain securities knowing that there is going to be a new rule or the government is going to be putting hundreds of billions of dollars into a certain industry, but she had advance warning, so she goes and buys up Tesla stock, Tesla call options. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen this in the news, but that is another form of market manipulation where she is buying that security, and if it's a low float stock, then she's actually influencing the price of that stock, and she's manipulating the market because she has the power to actually put hundreds of billions of dollars into that industry, and the stocks in that industry actually going up. Many ways that this market manipulation happens is just through retail traders knowing technical analysis. Now, when you know that there are certain patterns that happen on charts, then you can artificially make the chart do that pattern, knowing that retail traders and even hedge funds are going to buy or sell based on that pattern that's taking place. So when you basically paint the tape or you make the chart look a certain way, then you know that the masses are going to do a certain thing, and then you can do the opposite to capitalize on that move. And yes, the hedge funds were basically manipulating the market. They were shorting the crap out of the market, driving the price down, giving them even more profit, because as the price went down, they made more money, right? And then as the price went down, more people sold their stock, so they're manipulating it down to make more money. But in this time with GameStop and AMC, it just didn't work out because these were low float stocks, meaning that there was not that many shares available. So with the little bit of demand, with the little bit of buying pressure that went up, it moves the stock dramatically, forcing a lot of those shorters, those hedge funds that are shorting, to cover and buy back even more stock, pushing the price even higher. So yes, hedge funds are manipulating the market like crazy, but again, it's just something that you need to be aware of. The public, I guess, is now just coming to this realization. You know, even CNBC, I watch the CEOs that they bring on and interview them. They're freaking market manipulating right in front of your eyes by them, you know, the CEO coming in and basically promoting their stock, promoting their company, and trying to talk highly about their company. Even on earnings calls, everybody is trying to promote their stock and talk highly and positively about the future and what they're going to be rolling out in the future to try and pump up their stock price so that they can then sell a whole bunch of stock and raise a whole bunch of money to then be able to grow their company and also recruit great talent. This is part of the reason why Tesla is able to do such great things, is because their stock price has been going up. So they pay a lot of their employees with stock, and they can recruit some really great talent because of that. So anyway, don't be surprised when you see some kind of market manipulation happening. Don't stress yourself out and think that you're just taking this massive risk and then sell all your stocks right now because market manipulation is something that you're just now realizing is a real thing. This happens every single day. It is just part of the market. It's part of the world. You're more brainwashed than you probably think you are, to be honest. But anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.